Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel of Dream University. I'm Shomdev, and today we are going to look at the previous year questionnaires of 2025 of CVT PG English, and we'll try to analyze the question paper and see if there is a definitive trend that we can call out from that question paper. And so as you all might know that we are also offering a crash course for CVT-PG, which is scheduled in March 2026 this year. And we're offering this crash course to help students to get a hold of the syllabus and to cover the vast, diverse, eclectic syllabus that NT has offered. And please, if you have not joined the Telegram channel, please do so. If you want to enroll yourself for the crash course, you can directly contact the phone number that is there on the screen, or you can, join the link, click on the link that is there in the description of the video. So without further delay, we can go straight into the questionnaire and see how the questions were asked in the last year. Yes. So as you can see that there are 75 questions in CVT PG in English. So initially it was 100 questions, but after 2 years, that is of 2023 and 2022 and 2023, the 25 questions which used to have reasoning and aptitude and general knowledge and etc. So those 25 questions have been cut out, and only 75 questions from the domain are asked. And 2025 questionnaire, that is the last year's questionnaire, it has only 75 questions. So I have also tried to, you can see this list. So I have tried to break down the question into these sections, and will try to write how many questions are asked in each of these sections, like so history of English literature, Indian writing in English and translation, literaturism and theory, literary terms, movie adaptations, and Sanskrit literature and poetics. And if we also try to add down things, if questions related to particular discourse and segments are asked, we'll try to note down and we'll try to calculate how many questions are asked from each segments. So yeah, so let's start. The first question that was asked in 2025 CVT was this, that who among the following were known as the university weeds? The options were John Lilly, Ben Jonson, Thomas Nash, Thomas Middleton. So you can see that there are multiple options. So clearly Ben Jonson, as you know, is not considered among the university weeds. So whatever options that has B in it automatically get cancelled. So of course 1 and 3 get cancelled. So Ben Jonson is certainly not part of university weeds. So is Thomas Middleton. Right, so is Thomas Middleton. So a D option also get eliminated. So John Lilly and Thomas Nash, they are the part of the university weeds. So option 2 is correct. That is only option A and C. That is John Lilly and Thomas Nash. They were part of the university weeds. So option 2 is correct. So we're going to write. So one question has come from history of English literature. So we'll write 1 here. Next question is it is a column matching. So you can also see there are different formats through which questions are asked. So it is a column matching question. There are 2 lists and you have to match the column. So there are humors and their characteristics. So as you know that each humor, like sanguine, melancholic, phlegmatic, and choleric, they correspond to certain temperament through which personalities could be understood in the medieval ages. And these 4 temperaments, as they are, like sanguine, melancholic, phlegmatic, and choleric, their ancient personality theory suggesting behavior is driven by bodily fluids like that of blood, yellow bile, black bile, flame, and etc. So of course, sanguine. As you can see, sanguine refers to happiness, right? So sanguine refers to happiness, and melancholic refers to sadness, and and phlegmatic, of course, refer to apathy, and choleric refers to anger. So sanguine refers to happiness. So A directly correlates to 4. That is, so we have in option 1 and option 3 both. We have A4 and A4, and then melancholic uh, corresponds to sadness. So only in option 3 we have B, that corresponds to 3. So of course in no other option we can see that B corresponds to 3, that is sadness. So automatically we have our answer 3, right? So I mean, as you can see, a lot of questions have to be answered through elimination method. I mean, if you can see, like, almost all of us know that choleric refers to anger. So D corresponds to 1, right? So in three of the questions, three of the options, you can find D corresponds to 1 in option 1, 3, 4. But when it comes to B, it is the only option 3 where a melancholic, that is option B, corresponds to 3 in list 2, that is sadness. So 3 is the correct option. Again, these are temperaments, as you know, and which were thought to be the measuring years for personalities in medieval ages, and they corresponds to each bodily fluids, like there are blood, uh, yellow bile, black bile, and flame. And so sanguine refers to happiness, melancholic refers to sadness, phlegmatic refers to apathy, and choleric refers to anger. So option 3 is the correct one. You can again, I mean, if you know melancholic refers to sadness, you can actually have the right answer, because no other option through elimination method, right? Okay. So so question number 3, hamartia. Okay, let's write it there. So it can either be written in, I mean, the question that we had discussed, or the four temperaments and bodily fluids, humor, we can actually write in the history of English literature, or we can write it to literary terms. Let's write it for now, write it in literary terms. Okay. You can see the book of M.H. Abrahams, and you can find the word humor, and then you can, of course, read the description about that. Of course, Ben Jonson also wrote two plays, comedies, Every Man in His Humor and Every Man Out of His Humor. So if you follow any standard history of English literature book, you will also find the mention of these four humors if the segment of Ben Jonson comes, right? So anyway, so question number 3 asks that hamartia refers to a trait in the protagonist in plays that are. So of course, as you know, hamartia is I mean, hamartia refers to this fatal flaw uh, in tragedies of the tragic hero. And of course, I mean, it is the Aristotelian poetics where we find this term hamartia, and that is, of course, strictly adherent to tragedies, right? So hamartia is that fatal flaw or error which brings the fall the tragic hero. So the correct option is, of course, tragedy, right? So 2 is the correct option. Yeah. So question number 4. Again, there is this column matching, and there is this column matching, and so literary age and author. So we have been given in one list. There is literary ages: Elizabethan, Restoration, Augustan, and Romantic, and then there is respective authors, and we have to find the respective author and the corresponding them. So Elizabethan age, uh, which of these four writer are associated with Elizabethan age? Of course, it's Christopher Marlowe, and so Elizabethan age A corresponds to 2, and in only option 1 you can find A corresponds to 2. So of course you don't have to even think about the rest, right? You don't even think about the rest. You can directly say that, okay, this one, option 1 is correct, because the very first Elizabethan age refers to Christopher Marlowe, and you can see no other options, that is 2, 3, 4. A is corresponded with or associated with 2, So of course, is the correct option is one. But again, so Elizabethan age is, I mean, Christopher Marlowe is from Elizabethan age, and of course D, romantic age. William Hazlitt is from romantic age, and Augustan age we have John Gay, and Restoration age we have Afra Bell. So anyway, the correct option is option one, right? Yeah. So question number five. Again, there is a column as okay. So this directly again. I mean, goes to this option. Question number four. So we should write it in the history of English literature, right? Okay, we'll write to. Uh, yeah. So Hamartia again. Hamartia can be this question. Actually, we can put it under literary criticism, right? We can write in literary criticism because Aristotle's poetics actually uh, can be thought of textual literary criticism, classical literary criticism. Okay, yeah. So question number five. Again, there is a column matching. So the format is quite popular. You can see in CVTPG, there's column matching, and there's a quote from the play and the name of the play. So all of these quotes, some of our very famous quotes and soliloquies, and the name of the play. And you can see all of the plays are from Shakespeare. So I mean, you can look at the great soliloquies of Shakespeare and main lines quotes. So again, we all know the men. I mean, let's I mean proceed through elimination method. Like all the worlds is a stage, right? All the worlds is a stage. It directly corresponds to Hamlet, right? So uh, B refer to where is B? Yeah. Okay, so be refer. Sorry, out brief candle, right? Okay, so brevity is the soul of wit. All the world's is a stage. We are such stuff as dream are made of. Out brief candle. Okay, so out brief candle uh, is of course Macbeth, right? Out brief candle is Macbeth, and so D corresponds to 3. So D corresponds to 3. We have two options, that is 1 and 3, which we have D, and D corresponds to 3. So automatically option 2 and option 4 get eliminated, right? Automatically they get eliminated. And now uh, we are such stuff as dreams are made of. Okay, so there is of course corresponds to the plate the Tempest, if you remember. So it is C1. Okay, now this is C4. So of course 1 is the correct answer. Okay, so A, that is brevity is the soul of wit, is from Hamlet, and the all the worlds is a stage is from the play As You Like It. Okay, so the correct answer is 1. So you can actually answer it through elimination method actually. The famous soliloquy that I think all of you must know, there is out brief candle. Out brief candle is from Macbeth. So D3 is the correct option. Uh, and we have only in option 1 and 3 this matching, that is D3, right? D3 and D3. So either option 1 or option 3 are correct. Option 2 and option 4 are initially eliminated. So next come the like quote, that is we are such stuff as dreams are made of, that is C. So that is a part that is clearly a quote from the Tempest. So C1 is the correct option here, and in option 3 we don't have that matching. C is here, we can find that C is matched with 4 As You Like It, so it is not true. So option 1 is the correct option, right? Yeah. So you have to remember these some famous quotes from Shakespeare's plays, like tomorrow, 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 clips in petty pace from Macbeth. Uh, I mean, of course, there are some other options as well, other famous soliloquies as well. Okay. Question number 6 now. Okay, again there is this famous, the author's name and their pseudonym. Okay, uh, so yeah, So actual name and their pseudonym. The column matching again. So J.K. Rowling, Mary Ann Evans, Agatha Christie, Charlotte Bronte. Okay. So Mary Ann Evans, we all know. George Eliot. Okay. So B corresponds to three. B corresponds to three. Okay. Now only option two. This I mean this B is matched with option three. So the correct option is of course two. We will find the other thing. So Charlotte Bronte is, of course, Courier Bell, as you can see. So D1, and Agatha Christie is, of course, Mary Westmacott, okay? And J.K. Rowling is Robert Galbraith, okay? So you can actually, I mean, do this question, answer this question with elimination method. As you can, I mean, all of us know that Mary Ann Evans, I mean, was writing under the pseudonym George Eliot. So B should be matched with option three. And in only option two, B is matched with option three. And that is why the correct option is automatically gets two, right? So this is also. So we should write also. So we should put these two questions into under the heading of history of English literature, right? Yeah. Next question, question number 7. Who first used the term negative capability? Of course, it is John Keats, right? We all know John Keats used the term negative capability, which, in a very rough way, we can say that what actually meant for John Donne and his compatriots, like the metaphysical poets, what stood as conceit in metaphysical poetry. The same thing stood for objective correlative in Eliot, and the same term actually kind of John Keats writes in as negative capability. Okay, so who first used the term negative capability? It is John Keats. Okay, option three is correct. Option three is correct, and so we can write actually it under literary criticism. Okay, because it was part of Keats's criticism about poetry. And yeah, yeah. Just, yeah. So, and so of course, let's now go to question number 8, uh, which is poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings and emotions collected in tranquility. As a poetic philosophy is ascribed to William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, Lord Byron, and P.B. Shelley. We all know that it was said by William Wordsworth, right? So option one is correct. In Preface to Lyrical Ballads, Wordsworth writes this, that poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings and emotions collected in tranquility. So it was said by William Wordsworth. So we can again write it in literary criticism part, right? Yeah. Okay. Now question number 9. Again, so now again there is a column matching. So as you can see, there are movie adaptations in one side, and then there's the text which are adapted. Okay. So Omkara, Makbul, Utsab, and Savaria. Right. So we all know that Omkara is an adaptation of Othello, right? Vishal Bhardwaj adapted Othello as Omkara. He is a Hindi adaptation of Othello. So A uh, should be matched with option two, right? So it should be matched option two, and it is only in option two you can see that this is the correct match with A. So again, by elimination method, um, by the elimination method, we actually get the right answer here. That is option two is the correct. But again, Makbul, you all know that is an adaptation of Macbeth, so B4, and Utsab is an adaptation of Mrichatikam. Girish Karnad actually adapted Mrichatikam into Utsab, starring Rekha. So C is 1, and Savari is adaptation of White Knights written by Dostoevsky, right? So the correct option is 2. 2 is the right option. So here we can actually write it under movie adaptation, okay? We can write out movie adaptation. Yeah. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, the next question, question number 10. The first Indian writer to win a is a Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize is in the writer novel is English. In English was the first Indian writer to write a novel in English was Rabindranath Tagore, R.K. Narayan, Mulk Anand, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. So of course, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee writes the first novel in English, as you know. Rajmohan's Wife is an unfinished novel. So option four is the correct option here, and. So yeah, uh, we can actually write it under the section Indian writing in English and translation. Yeah, yeah. The first Indian writer to write a novel in English was Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. Yeah. Question number 11. The first woman to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature was Toni Morrison, Selma Lagerlöf, Pearl S. Buck, Grazia Deledda. Okay, so it was Selma Lagerlöf who wins the Nobel Prize, who was the first woman to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature. And you know, Toni Morrison was the first Black woman, African American woman, to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature. So, but anyway, this the question is the first woman to receive the Nobel Prize, and it is Selma Lagerlöf. So, option two is correct, right? Yeah, option two is good. We can actually segment of literary uh, awards, and that it is the yeah. So the next question is blank verse is dramatic poetry, free verse, unrhymed verse, primarily in iambic pentameter, reflective poetry of any length. So, of course, blank verse, as you know, is predominantly used in epic poetry, and one of the uh, prominent example of uses of blank verse is Paradise Lost. If you remember it, it is an unrhymed verse, primarily in iambic pentameter. So the correct option is three. So blank verse is unrhymed verse, primarily in iambic pentameter. The correct option is three. So you can write this question under literary terms. Yeah, yeah. So the next question is naturalism. Naturalism is a synonym for realism, interest in natural beauty, and description of the natural world, description of life determined by heredity and social environment. So naturalism is, of course, is certainly not a synonym for realism. It is certainly not only an interest in natural beauty per se. A description of natural world is also not naturalism, but it is indeed depiction of the life determined by heredity and social environment. So the correct option is four actually. So correct option is four, and we can also yeah. So we can write it under say literary terms actually. Yeah, literary terms, naturalism, literary terms. Yeah. So naturalism is a depiction of life determined by heredity and social environment. Yeah. The question number 14 is what is intentional fallacy? Now, the options are the reader's mistake of looking for a message in a work, to see one's own mood reflected in a work, error in attempting to assess the writer's intention, the work not being related to the author. The correct option is, as you can see, error in attempting to assess the writer's intention. That is intentional fallacy, right? So this comes under the, I mean, in literary criticism part. If you follow like in new criticism and reader response theory, it would be able to answer this question. So again, so there are main three parts, as you know, that you have to focus for CVT as you must have understood that one is history of English literature, or one is Indian writing in English and translation, and another one is literary criticism and theory. Not a lot of questions from literary theory are to be asked in CVT, but rather questions from literary criticism would be asked, and in this case, as you can see, what is intentional fallacy? It is the error in attempting to assess the writer's intention. So correct option is three. Correct option is three. So it directly we can write it in I mean literary criticism and theory part. So yeah. Okay. Question number 15. Which of the following books relate to the partition of India? The Broken Mirror, Coolie, Midnight's Furies, Ice Candy Man. Of course, now again, any intelligent student would clearly, I mean, mark out that coolly that option B is not the answer. Okay, right, so in those options where the option B is there, automatically get cancelled. So option 2 and 3, where there is the option B is there, these two automatically get cancelled, right? So as you surely know that Broken Mirror, Midnight's Furies, and Ice Candyman, all three somehow deals with the theme of partition of India. And so the right option is A, C, and D. That is A, C, and D. That is the fourth option is the correct option. And yeah, so the right option is three. I mean four. So A, C, and D. Broken Mirror, Midnight Swiss, Ice Candyman. And so you can write it under Indian writing and English and translation. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So the next question is, who among the following is a science fiction writer? Now, Walter Scott, Isaac Asimov, Dan Brown, George Eliot. Of course, George Eliot is not, Walter Scott is not. The two close options that we can have is Isaac Asimov and Dan Brown. Isaac Asimov is, I mean, known as, one of the founding fathers of science fiction writing. And Dan Brown, on the other hand, although has written related to, that borders closely with fantasy fictions and something like that, but dystopian fiction. But it is not. I mean, if Isaac Asimov is in the options, you have to choose Isaac Asimov. Otherwise, Dan Brown could have been the option, but again, it's a close call. But Isaac Asimov is the one because he is one of he's thought to be one of the founding fathers of science fiction writing. So of course, question number two is option number two is the right option, right answer. So we can actually write it under history of English literature because it comes under postmodern age, maybe postmodern age. Yeah. So question number 17. Which one of the following female characters does not figure in the works of Kalidas? So Urvashi, Malvika, Basavadatta, Shakuntala. As you know, the Shakuntala, Malvika, Urvashi, all these three actually appear. So even if you don't know that whether Basavadatta actually appears or not, because this is the only option that is left, right? The Shakuntala, Malvika, Urvashi, all three appears in some of the other works of Kalidas. So Basavadatta actually is not the character, female character, which figure in the works of Kalidas. Also, as you can understand, is a female characters, right? So Urvashi, Malvika, Shakuntala, they are female characters. Vasubhadatta is not, I guess. So option 3 is the correct answer here, and we can actually write it under Sanskrit literature and poetics section. Yeah. Option question number 18. At whose request during the Nag Yajna was the Mahabharata narrated? So in a way, the question points to the opening of the epic, the Mahabharata, and it is asked that at whose request during the Nag Yajna. So there was this Nag Yajna after the the Mahabharata opens with this Nag Yajna that Parikshit actually takes asks to perform, right? So at whose request during the Nag Yajna was the Mahabharata narrated, and the correct option is John Major. Okay, John Major is the son of Parikshit. So, whose request during the Nag Yajna was the Mahabharata narrated? So, Boishampayan Vyas is the writer of Mahabharata. Parikshit is the son of Abhimanyu. Sanjay is as you know, was narrating the Mahabharata to Dhritarashtra. He was the Sarathi of Dhritarashtra, and Janmeja is the son of Parikshit. So at Janmeja's request, at the Nag Yajna, the Mahabharata was being narrated by Shuk. So the correct option is 4. Yeah. So again, we can write it under the section Sanskrit literature and poetics. Yeah. So question number 19. Announce the following Nobel Prize winners in chronological order of they being awarded, beginning with the earliest. Okay, so uh, we have to arrange these Nobel Prize winners in a chronological order, beginning with the earliest. That which of the following Nobel laureates won the Nobel Prize at the earliest? Doris Lessing, William Golding, James Corky, Ulf Soinka. Uh, so of course you know that William Golding, I think, won it in 1950s, right? So he of course is the first one, because Doris Lessing won as late in the 20th century. So uh, William Golding, there is option B should be the earliest, and as you can see in option four, B is in the beginning, right? So William Golding is the one who won among these four Nobel laureates that are in the options. William Golding is the one who won in the beginning, then Ulsoenka, then James Corky, and then Doris Lessing. So those who know that William Golding won it in the, I mean, is the Nobel laureate who won as the earliest among these four. Option B should be there in the beginning. So again, by elimination, by sheer elimination method, you can understand that option four is the correct answer. So we can write it under the section literary awards again. Yeah. So again, so these questions like related to Nobel Prize, you can understand that um, there are some questions are bound to come from the literary award sections, right? Like that of Nobel Prize, Sahitya Academy, and Booker Prize, International Booker Prize, Peter Awards. So please take these awards and their recent awardee, not only recent awardee, but also as this at this question, particular question, like chronological order of the awardees being. Being arranged, they are to be arranged in chronological order. So you should also take a look at the constitution of the awards, like the eligibility criteria of those awards, the rules and regulations of the awards, and of course a little bit of history about these awards. Because if you cover the sections of literary awards in relatively minute, with minute details and minute care, uh, two to three questions are bound to come from these literary award sections, and you would be able to answer those correctly. Okay, so question number 20. Arrange the following movements or prominent literary genres in chronological order, beginning with the earliest. Okay, so arrange the following movements or prominent literary genres in chronological order, beginning with the earliest. So Gothic novel, the Newgate fiction, expressionism, metaphysical poetry. Okay, so again, Gothic novel emerges the kind of the intersection of the Romantic period also. So and expressionism is of course kind of modern, is an offshoot of modernism, we can say, or it can be talked about or can be seen under the rubrics of modernism, along with other so many isms, cubism, imagism, and other isms. Metaphysical poetry is of course, you can clearly understand that is the earliest prominent movement or literary genre, as I can see. There's a whole age that is devoted in history of literature books to metaphysical poetries, right? So of course, option D is the earliest, right? So let's see in the option. So in option one only, you can find the option D comes first. So again, by sheer elimination method, you can understand that option one is the correct answer, right? So metaphysical poetry comes first, D, then Gothic novel, then the Newgate fiction, and then of course the expressionism, which is a kind of modern ism, one would want to say that you can say. So option one is the correct answer here. Again, by sheer elimination method, you would be able to answer that. Yes. So next question. Okay, we can write it history of literature part 6. Yeah. Okay, so the War of Roses is used to describe which of the following? Yeah, so the options are wars between England and Ireland, civil wars in France during the late Middle Ages, wars between the kingdoms of England and France, and civil wars in England between the Lancastrian and Yorkshire dynasties? The answer is, of course, civil wars in England between the Lancastrian and Yorkshire dynasties. The option four is the correct answer. The war between Lancaster and the Yorkshire dynasty is known as the War of Roses. So the option four is the correct answer. And so this kind of question also refer to that simultaneously we also have to give equal important when we are reading history of English literature. Of course, we have to give equal importance to the happenings in particular era, right? So what was happening in Enlightenment period? What was the social condition of England at that time? That who was reigning? What was the important events taking place in that particular era? What was happening in Elizabethan age? What was happening in Romantic age? What was happening in Victorian age? What was happening in Renaissance period in England particularly? We have to keep an eye to that also, because this kind of questions are the results of this inquiries. That War of Roses, who fought I mean, the War of Roses, and they are, of course, Lancaster and Yorkshire dynasties. So we can now put it under the history of English literature section. So I just want to remind you that when we talk about history of English literature, do not limit yourself into the mere literary outputs or the artistic outputs of each eras, but rather please turn your focus on the social condition of England at that time. Uh, yeah, England, I mean, UK, United Kingdom, one can say the Ireland, Scotland, and, England, and Wales combined. Yeah. So next question is the central doctrines of Enlightenment. Uh, was inimical to which of the following? I mean, which of the following doctrines was not supported or was against the central doctrines of enlightenment? Individual liberty, rule of law, absolute monarchy, religious freedom. So as you can see, that individual liberty, rule of law, and religious freedom, they were they were kind of legacies of enlightenment. And absolute monarchy is the one which is against the ethos of enlightenment, right? So absolute monarchy is inimical to the central doctrines of enlightenment, and instead democracy is the one that enlightenment puts forward. So the option three is the right answer here, that absolute monarchy is the inimical to the central doctrines of enlightenment, right? So again, this question actually shows that this is not exactly linked to the history of English literature, but it is linked to the history of the social condition of Europe at that time, perhaps England at that time. So please, so Rev, I'm asking you to again read with equal importance the social condition of England with each ages of history of English literature. Anyway, so the next question is arrange the following in the chronological order, beginning with the earliest, right? So pre-Raphaelites, Edwardian, the Graveyard School of Poetry, Sturm and Drang, right? So as you can see, so the Graveyard School of Poetry came first. Of course, I mean, Edwardian is the one which perhaps came last. So the Graveyard School of Poetry is the one that came first. Sturm and Drang is the one which is associated with Germany. Uh, anyway, so the Graveyard School of Poetry comes first. So option C comes in the beginning in both option 2 and 3. Now you can find which comes at the last, right? So of course, as I said, Edwardian is the one which comes last. So uh, option 3 is the correct answer here. Again, I solved it through elimination method. That again I'm telling you that in I mean exams like this where you have to answer MCQs, multiple choice questions, you have to answer certain questions with the elimination method, and this is a very useful tool to answer the questions where you might not be aware of all the options. You might not even heard of all the options, but you can answer these questions with sheer shot if you just use certain weights and scales. And the elimination method is one of them. So as I said, graveyard school of the poetry comes earliest. So in both the options, you can see that in option 2 and option 3, the option C comes first. Now we have to eliminate one of them, right? And again, Edwardian is the one that comes last. So in option 3, Edwardian comes at the end. So this is option 3 is the right answer. Again, we can write it in history under the rubrics of history of English literature, right? Yeah. Question number 24. Arrange the following Indian writers in the chronological order, beginning with the earliest of the date of birth. Okay. So to arrange these writers in a chronological order of who was born first. Options are Jai Shankar Prasad, Dushwant Kumar, Premchand, and Amrita Pritham. Uh, Of course, Premchand, as you know, comes first. Again, only option C, option 4, the option C, that is Premchand, comes in the beginning. Again, the other options doesn't have this. So option 4 again easily gets selected out of elimination method, but we can also probe into that. Dushwant Kumar is the youngest, as you know, and I mean is considered the young. I mean, he's the youngest of this pool that is there. Jaishankar Prasad, Dushwant Kumar, Premchand, Amrita Betan. So option 4 is of course correct because Premchand is there. Amrita Pritam, and Amrita Pritam is the third, and Jaishankar Prasad is second. Now, this question also takes draws our attention towards Indian writing in English, but not only Indian writing in English, but Indian writing per se, because all these writers were kind of writing certainly not English in English, right? And their works have certainly been translated into English, but not that much. Premchand is being, of course, being translated now. Uh, but again, so these all are related to Hindi literature. So you also have to give certain focus and I mean, you have to read a lot about Hindi literature also, because this is also a trend that we can find in the past questionnaires, that questions are asked from Hindi literature also, right? So, yeah, this is the question that testifies that. So, you are going to write it under Indian writing in English and translation, but it is not particularly related to Indian writing in English per se, but it is related to Indian writing as the Indian literature per se, and particularly Hindi literature. Okay, so yeah, so now question number 25. Which among the following autobiographies by Indian women is the earliest? Right. So which of the following is the earliest? Ramabai Ranaje, Our Life Together; Rasha Sundari Devi, My Life; Urmila Pawar, The Weave of My Life; Lakshmibai Tilak, The Memoirs of a Spirited Wife. Now, as you know, that Rasha Sundari Devi's Amar Jibon, written in Bangla, later translated into English as My Life, is considered to be the first autobiography written by an Indian woman. Right. So option 2 is the right answer. uh, that Rasha Sundari Devi's My Life. So it is originated in English, originated in Bangla as Amar Jibon. It is translated into English as My Life. So option 2 is correct. Rasha Sundari Devi's My Life is considered the first autobiography written by an Indian woman. So of course it comes under Indian literature in English, right? Yeah. Now, again, we come here with a column matching format. There are two lists. One is theory, a title, and another one is thinker. Right. So utilitarianism, father of modern philosophy; empiricism and rationality; and theism. Right. So and the thinkers are Immanuel Kant, Baruch Spinoza, John Stuart Mill, Rene Descartes. So utilitarianism, as you know, is connected with John Stuart Mill. So option A uh, gets should be strung to J.S. Mill, John Stuart Mill. So option A should be matched with option 3. Option A should be again. So option 4 has the only uh, match here, as you can see with the option A. So again, automatically option 4 gets selected and all other options get eliminated because A gets matched to 3, and father of modern philosophy is often considered as René Descartes. Empiricism and rationality is often associated with Immanuel Kant, and pantheism is of course um, associated with Spinoza. So utilitarianism can be, I mean, if you know only pantheism, for example, like pantheism is also I mean associated with Spinoza. So D gets connected to 2. So in option 4 only, as you can see, this match is correct. So either you can start with option A or option D. Both ways, all the other options get eliminated, right? So option 4 is the correct answer. And where we can put this? We can actually put this in history of English literature. Uh, Although, I mean, uh, that is not exactly uh, the section that it should be put, but for now we can put it in under history of English literature because again, this actually comes under comes into philosophy kind of thing, which again can be a result of the social condition of Europe at that time. Certainly, utilitarianism is certainly a part of that. So anyway, so option 4 is correct here, and the next question is, uh, which of the following books is not a part of the Tamil text Chilapattikaram? Okay. Kollam, Puhar, Madurai, Vansi. I mean, if you don't have this text, Chilabattikaram, in your UG syllabus, uh, I don't think that anyone would be able to answer that. We had that in our syllabus, and so Kolam is not a part of the Tamil text. Chilapattikaram, uh, again, you should be able. I mean, these are like you can see there's a Sanskrit text, uh, Chilapattikaram. So there's this. I mean, you should also give kind of importance to this. You can take this text into account, like Mritchatikam, Chilapattikaram, and all this. So Kolam is actually not a part of this Tamil text, but there will be certain questions that you have to leave, I guess. I mean, if you have not read this, I don't think there is any way that you can answer this, right? Uh, Anyway, this is the right answer is Kolam again, but yeah, what can be said? So we can put it under in Indian literature in English and translation, though. Yeah. So 28. Question number 28. Which of the following are Nissim Ezekiel's poems? Enterprise, My Grandmother's House, Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpati, yes, On Killing a Tree. Now, which of the following is Nissim Ezekiel's poem? On Killing a Tree is a poem by G.A. Patel. So all the options that has D in it gets automatically eliminated. And as you can see, except option 2, all the other options, 1, 3, and 4, all have D in it. So of course, there's elimination. By sheer elimination method, you can answer this, that option 2 is the correct answer, that Enterprise, My Grandmother's House, and Goodbye for Miss, I mean, Enterprise and Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa TS, the one that written by Nissim Ezekiel. My Grandmother's House is written by, of course, Kamala Das. So anyway, we don't have to even think about it because On Killing a Tree, you know, is written by G.A. Patel, and on all the options that have D in it, yes, automatically eliminated in option 2 is the correct answer here. So we can write it under uh, Indian writing in English and translation part. So yeah, next question. 29 question. Which figure of speech is used in the opening line of Spenser's sonnet 57? Sweet warrior, when shall I have peace with thee? So, sweet warrior, when shall I have peace with the metaphor, oxymoron, metonymy, or irony. So, which a figure of speech, as you know, is a part of rhetoric. Rhetoric and prosody are often taught in graduation, and uh, as you know, sweet warrior is a direct address to that sweet warrior. When shall I have peace with thee? Which of the figure of speech is used in the opening line? So it is certainly not metaphor. It is certainly not irony. It is certainly not metonymy. Oxymoron is the one because uh, sweet warrior. That is the part where two exactly kind of opposite kind of emotions or words are here placed side by side, because warrior uh, kind of with which you are fighting perhaps, and you are kind of craving peace, and then sweet. So sweet warrior, this is an oxymoron, one can say. So option 2 is correct. Oxymoron is correct. So we can actually write it in literary terms section, although we can actually divide furthermore as prosody rhetoric. But yeah, sweet warrior, when shall I peace with thee? Oxymoron. Yeah. Then next question is of question number 30. Which of the following statements are correct in context of Coleridge's understanding of the terms fancy and imagination? So it's a question from literary criticism part, where Coleridge actually in his biography literature clearly distinguishes between these two terms, fancy and imagination. And this question is related to that. Which of the following statements are correct in the context of Coleridge's understanding of the terms fancy and imagination? Options are uh, fancy is a uh, mechanical faulty, uh, mechanical faculty. Sorry, yeah. Uh, fancy is a mechanical faculty of the human mind, and imagination is an organic faculty of the human mind that dissolves dialectical oppositions. Fancy is mimetic, and imagination is creative. Fancy is the real poetic creativity. So, as you can see, the last option, that is fancy is the real poetic creativity, is not true. Imagination can be said that, and there is also two parts, primary imagination and secondary imaginations, but fancy is not, certainly not the real poetic creativity. So the option D is not correct. So wherever the option D is there, you can eliminate that in the beginning. So in option 1 there is option D, in option 3 there is option D, in option 4 there is option D. So in only option 2 there is no option D. So it automatically gets selected as the correct answer by elimination method. Those who have not have any idea about fans and imagination, they might be confused about all the other three options, but they know that fancy is considered inferior to imagination, and it is certainly not the real poetic creativity. They would know that option D is not correct according to Coleridge. So wherever option D's are there, those options cannot be the correct answer. And so option 2 is correct. And it is indeed correct, because all the other options, that fancy is mechanical faculty of the human mind, imagination is an organic faculty of the human mind, fancy is mimetic, and imagination is creative. These three options are correct. So you can actually write it under literary criticism part. Yeah. So the next question again, another column matching part. So uh, there is sonnet here, and then there is rhyme scheme. So Petrarch, John Milton, Spenser, Shakespeare, right? So uh, if you haven't read Petrarch, you haven't read John Milton's sonnets or Spenser's sonnet, and you have only read Shakespeare, you can start with Shakespeare only. As you know, Shakespeare's sonnet sequences are A B A B C D C D E F E F G G. So um, for Shakespeare only, for I mean the first option is one, is so D should be matched with option one, and D should be option is only in option four. So in only option 4, we have D matched with 1. So again, in no other option, as you can see, D is matched with option 1. So again, option 4 gets automatically selected with this elimination method. But nonetheless, you can read the other ones also now. A, that is Petrarch, is A B B A A B B A C D C D C D, or C D D C C D, or C D C D. Spencer again, as you know, A B A B B C B C C D C D E E. So there are three, Wharton and a couplet. And John Milton is of course A B B A A B B A C D E C D E. So there is only there is one sextant, and there is an octave, and there is a sextant, right? Octave, and there is sextant. So anyway, so as I was saying, those who must have read any at least one sonnet of Shakespeare, and it is, I mean, Shakespeare's sonnets are taught in almost every colleges and universities and music curriculum, so they must know that the rhyme scheme of Shakespeare's sonnets, and that is A B A B C D C D E F E F G G, ends with a couplet, and D should be matched with one, right? And in only option 4, D is matched with 1. So option 4 is the correct one, and you can write it under history of English literature part. Although one can write on literary terms, I mean, for first the sonnet section, but anyway. Question number 32. Which of the following statements are true with respect to Aristotle's classic analysis of tragedy in his Poetics? Again, it is a direct question from literary criticism part, literary criticism of the, I mean, the ancient classical literary criticism, which again incorporates Plato, Aristotle, Horace, and Longinus. You have to give equal importance to all these four philosophers. So, and also to some extent Augustine, but that is not, I mean, is not that important. But certainly Plato, Aristotle, Horace, and Longinus. And here a question from Aristotle's Poetics. So, which of the following statements are true with respect to Aristotle's classic analysis of tragedy in his uh, in his Poetics? And so the options are: tragedy is mimesis. Tragedy intends to accomplish the catharsis of emotions like pity and fear. The tragic hero is an everyday person with ordinary moral worth. It is hamartia which often leads the tragic hero into a state of suffering. So tragedy is a mimesis, of course. Tragedy intends to accomplish the catharsis of emotions like pity and fear is of course true. The tragic hero is an everyday person with ordinary moral worth. It is not true, because a tragic hero has to be someone which is way beyond, way above, superior to everyday persons, everybody that we meet in daily life, and he has an extraordinary moral worth. The option 3 is not correct, and option D, it is hamartia which often leads the tragic hero into a state of suffering. It is also true. So wherever option C is there, it is not a correct answer. And as you can see, in option 2, option 3, and option 4, all has the option C in it, right? All has the option C in it. So certainly option 1 is correct answer, because A, B, and D are the correct answers here, because C is wrong here. She is not true. Tragic hero is not an everyday person. This tragic hero is far superior to everyday persons that we meet. So option 1 is correct here. And we can put it certainly in literary criticism and theory part, under of course criticism, classical criticism we can say. So next question is question number 33. Again, there is a column matching. As you can see, there are a lot of column matching questions are there, and column matching questions are perhaps the highest scoring questions, because it can absolutely be, I mean, almost 99% questions can be answered through elimination method. There are two lists here. One is playwright and another one is play. Okay, so playwright and play: John Osborne, Arnold Wesker, Harold Pinter, Tennessee Williams, and plays. So John Osborne is of course look back in anger, right? So A, John Osborne should be matched with option 2. So in only option 2 we have A matched with option 2, right? See, again all the other options gets eliminated. This is the elimination method that you have to master. See, you don't even have to read all the other things, all the other options, or there are so many options. You don't even have to go to that web. You can just know one sure shot, right? One sure shot. John Osborne, look back in anger, and you match it A2, and you can easily eliminate all the other options. You don't even have to read the other options. It is as simple as that. Okay. Now to continue with that, uh, Arnold Whisker wrote Chicken Soup with Barley. Harold Pinto, the absurdist, wrote The Birthday Party. Of course, you know that. Tennessee Williams wrote The Glass Menagerie, D3, right? So again, so the right answer is 2, and we solved it through elimination method right away, right? So we can write it, of course, under the history of English literature part. Okay. So the next question is, uh, arrange the following uh, literary periods or movements in chronological order, beginning with the earliest, right? So we have to again arrange these following movements, literary periods in a chronological order, beginning with which what came in the earliest, right? So Restoration Age, art for art's sake, uh, Age of Sensibility, Harlem Renaissance, right? So, of course, Restoration Age came first, right? So, A comes first. Option A comes first. And see, again, so elimination method, you can see that in option 1 and 2, we have A in the beginning. So, of course, the option 3 and option 4 gets eliminated. Option 3 and option 4 gets eliminated, right? Because it doesn't have A in the beginning, right? So now comes the part in option 1 and 2. What comes? Of course, Harlem Renaissance comes at the end, right? D and D. See, now this is a tricky one. There's a tricky one in option 1 and 2. Both starts with A and both ends with D. So restoration comes first, and D Harlem Renaissance comes the last. Now, as you know, age of sensibility comes before art for art's sake, right? So the right option is option 2, because we have A, restoration age, then age of sensibility, then art for art's sake, and then D, Harlem Renaissance. So again, so this is the correct answer. I mean, 2 is the correct answer here, and we can write it in history of English literature. It's a classic question of history of English literature section. So yeah, next question is, uh, which of the following statement is incorrect? Right? Kabira was a Nirguna Bhakti poet. Alwars and Nayanars were Bhakti poets from South India. Lal Ded was a Bhakti poet from Rajasthan. Shankardev wrote his Bhakti songs known as Borgit in the Brojoboli. Now, those of you who, I mean, again, there'd be some question that you will leave, I guess, if you don't have any ideas regarding the Bhakti traditions. It is very hard to, I mean, it's very hard to answer this kind of questions. Kavira was indeed a Nirguna Bhakti poet. Shankadeva wrote his Bhakti songs known as Borgit in Brajavali. Alwars and Nayanars were Bhakti poets from South India. So these three are correct. Lal Ded was a Bhakti poet from Rajasthan. So because 1, 2, and 4 are correct, I think 1, 3 should not be the correct one. Option 3 should be the incorrect one here, right? So because I mean, Kabira was indeed a Nirguna Bhakti poet, and Shankadeva wrote in Brajavali, and Alwars were poets from South India. Lal Ded was perhaps not a Bhakti poet from Rajasthan, and so option 3 should be the right answer. It is an incorrect option, also a statement, right? So you can again write it in under Indian writing in English and translation, although it is not particularly related to English literature per se. But again, Bhakti literatures are being translated a lot in these days, right? So yeah, again, you don't have to. I mean, see, as you all know that a lot of I mean diverse discourses There's a lot of engagement with a lot of eclectic, diverse discourses in CVT and the syllabus, apparent syllabus that was prescribed by NTA might seem insufficient to questions like this. And you might say, you might think that indeed there's this vast ocean that cannot be charted, uh, ocean of syllabus that cannot be charted during this preparation. But you should not be worried about that, because there will indeed be certain questions um, that perhaps uh, I mean, almost many of the aspirants will leave, and there will be one, two questions that are beyond the grasp of students, where we don't have this kind of I mean, literatures in UG curriculum. So it is fine. Don't, I mean, I would suggest don't take stress. Anyway, next question is. Which of the following are American transcendentalist writers, right? So, which of these American transcendentalist writer? Ezra Pound, T.S. Eliot, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Henry David Thoreau. So, of course, Henry David Thoreau, the writer of the Walden, is a transcendental writer, and Ralph Waldo Emerson is also a transcendental writer. T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound is not, I mean, a transcendental writer. Certainly, T.S. Eliot is not. So, um, option B, I mean T.S. Eliot, when T.S. Eliot option B appears in the options that should be eliminated. So in option 1, there is B, option 3, there is B, option 4, there is B. So option 1, 3, 4, they get eliminated. You don't even, if you are confused about Ezra Pound, even if you are confused about all Paul immersion was they, I mean, were the American transcendental writers, but you know for certainty that T.S. Eliot was not an American transcendentalist writer, right? And he later, of course, took British citizenship. So T.S. Eliot's name, wherever appear, that option should be eliminated. 1, 3, and 4, right? So option 2 is the correct. You can answer it again through elimination, right? So option 2 is correct. You can write it in history of English literature section. Yeah. Next question is, which of the following is not a work by Arkenor? The Guide, Untouchable, Malguides, the English teacher. Of course, Untouchable is not a, I mean, work by Arkenor. It's a very easy question. Yeah, and we can put it in the Indian writing and English and translation section. Yeah. So next question, 38. Again, there is this column matching, poem and poet. So freedom to the slave, and a poem for mother, and of mothers among other things, and grandfather. And the poets are Eke Ramanujam, Jayant Mahapatra, Henry Vivian Diderot, Robin S. Nangong. Okay, so freedom to the slave is written by Henry Diderot. That is sure. I mean, that we know. Freedom to the slave is written by Henry Diderot, 8-3. See, I mean, see, this is what I'm saying, that again, by elimination method, you can answer this. You don't have to even know for sure that these were B, C, and D, a poem for mother of mothers among others and grandfather, who wrote these poems. If you know Freedom to the Slave was written by Henry Vivian Diderot, that is, A should be matched with option 3, you are done. You can answer these questions easily, right? Because no other options, option 2, 3, 4, have any options that have a correct match with option A, right? So elimination method, you can actually answer these questions. Option B, again, there is a poem for mother is written by Robin S. Nangom. I myself haven't read this poem, so but I have read Freedom to the Slave. So again, this is what I think. So not only knowledge, but also you have to I mean, I mean, CTP also test your skills, right? How to solve. And these MCQ questions actually test the skills, right? Of mothers, among the other things, is written by, as per this option, I think, A.K. Ramanujam. The grandfather is written by John the Mahapatra, right? So freedom, if you know Freedom of the Slave is written by Henry Vivian Diderot, you are done. I mean, you have answered correctly. So option E is the right answer. And we can write it in Indian writing and English and translation. So yeah, now question 39. Which of the following is not an autobiography? How I Became a Hindu, All roads lead to Ganga, Wings of Fire, and Lone Fox Dancing. Which of the following is not an autobiography? As you know, Wings of Fire is an autobiography. Kalam, How I Became a Hindu. Don't forget, All Roads Lead to Ganga is not an autobiography. It's a clear, short answer. All those roads lead to Ganga is not an autobiography. It is the correct answer. Again, we can write in under Indian writing and English and translation. Okay. Yeah. Next question, question number 40. Shimmering snow on the southern slope of the Simla Hills is an example of oxymoron, allegory, onomatopoeia, alliteration. Of course, it's an alliteration. Shimmering snow, southern slope of the Shimla Hills. S S S S S. An example of alliteration, of course. Option 4 is the correct answer, right? So we can write it under literary terms actually. Alliteration. So yeah, 40. Now, then we have uh, 41, question 41, who is considered the compiler of the Vedas, right? So, Valmiki, Narada, Vyasa, Paini. You know, Vyasa is considered the compiler of Vedas, also authored the Vedas. Vyasa is often thought of the title. Uh, there are several Vyasas, I mean, but I mean, is considered the compiler of Vedas. Panini, on the other hand, is considered to be the, or I mean, the master of the Sanskrit grammar, one can say, standardization of the. But anyway, Vyasa is the compiler of the Vedas, so option 3 is the correct answer. And again, so we can put it under Sanskrit literature and poetics part. I think, yeah. So, question number 42. Arrange these Indian writers in chronological order with reference to the year of birth, uh, starting with the earliest. So, arrange these Indian writers in chronological order with reference to the year of birth. Again, it's a very tricky question. It's a very diverse question because if you see the options, Ismat Chugtai, Gurdial Singh, Rahi, Harivansh Rai Bachchan, Sharatchandra Chattopadhyay, they are from like Urdu, Hindi, and Bangla literature. It is very hard to actually answer these questions, but anyway, so let's try. Can we do it again? Like again, see, can we do this question with elimination method or not? Because this kind of questions are bound to come where you might not be acquainted with even the writers. Like you might have heard the name, but you have no idea whatsoever. But can you do it through elimination method or not? So Ismat Chugta is there, Gurdal Singh Rahi is there, Harivansh Rai Bachchan is there, and Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay is there. So, uh, as you know, Harivansh Rai Bachchan was the father of Amitabh Bachchan. So, and Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay was also writing in the late 19th century. Ismat Chugtai was again writing in late 19th and early 20th century. So, uh, Gurdel Singh Rahi is the one that seems the youngest one. Okay, so certainly, so B is the option that only in option two, only in option two, we have the option B at the end. You can see we have the option at the end. So again, by sheer elimination method, you don't even have to. You are confused. I myself am confused about Harivansh Rai Bachchan, Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay, who I mean, of course, Sharat Chandra comes first, but then Harivansh Rai Bachchan or Ismat Chugtai, who was writing when, that is a confusing part. But uh, Gurdial Singh Rahi is the youngest, and Sharat Chandra is the earliest. I mean, being a Bengali mind, I know that Sharat Chandra comes first, but those of you who are not well acquainted with the Bangla literature or anything that much, they might, I mean, again, it is a hard question, but nevertheless, um, and option 2 is the correct answer. And Sharat Chandra comes first, the writer of the Devdas that you know, and then Harivansh Rai Bachchan is the writer of Madhushala, Ismat Chugtai, Lihaf, and Gurdial Singh Rahi is the youngest one of them. This pool. So we can write it under Indian writing in English, but again, you can't actually put them underneath title. I mean, this is general Indian literature question. Sorry. Yeah. Next question is, which of the following authors is not from the Caribbean region? Now, that is a question from world literature. Okay, so let's create another group, that is world literature, right? World literature, yeah. So which one of the following authors is not from the Caribbean region? Derek Walcott, Edward Braithwaite, Patrick White, Amy Suzanne, right? So which of the following authors is not from the Caribbean region? So as you know, Derek Walcott is from the Caribbean region. Braithwaite, Edward Braithwaite is again from the Caribbean region. Amy Suzanne, the famous post-colonial critique, is of course from Caribbean region, and Patrick White is not from the Caribbean region, as you know. So option three is the correct answer here. Again, this is from world literature. So as I often say that we not only have history of English literature that started capital E, that is literature produced in England, but the offshoots of English literature, that is, we have to focus on Australian literature, Canadian literature, American literature, Caribbean literature, African American literature, African literature. I mean, Asian literature, Russian literature, and even the European literature, that is from French, German, yeah, so in this question, I find that it is from world literature part, and which is not from Caribbean region. Patrick White is not from the Caribbean region, so option three is the correct answer. Yeah. Again, another column matching question. So question number 44, uh, list one and list two, writer and nationality. Arvind Adiga, or Kinaran Rohinton Mistry, Jhum Palahiri. So Canada, US, Australia, India. For certain, R. Kinaran is from, I mean, he lives in India, he was living in India. So B is 4. So B4 are in two options, right? Two options. One, option one, and option four, that we have uh, uh, we have these two options. So option two and three, they get eliminated because B4 is only in option one and option four, right? Now, let's see. Rohinton Mistry is a Canadian author. I mean, he is the writer of these famous novels like Such a Long Journey, A Fine Balance, Family Matters, and you know that these all three novels were long listed for Booker Prize, Man Booker Prize. So Rohinton Mistry is an Indian Canadian author. So C is one. C should be matched with one. So C should be one. So again, this is a tricky question again. So in option one, we have B matched with 4 and C matched with 1. Or in option 4 also, we have B matched with 4 and C matched with 1, right? Now, Jhumpa Lahiri. Uh, Jhumpa Lahiri, we know, writer of the namesake, uh, she lives in USA, right? So option D is 2. And so option 4 is correct because then option 1D is 3, right? So Arvind Adiga is an Indian Australian writer. So option 4 is correct, right? Arvind Adiga is Indian Australian, Arkina an Indian, Rohinton Mistry in Canada, Chumpalairi in USA. So option 4 is correct, and it should be Indian writing in English and translation, although one can put a branch of this and write diasporic writing. But anyway, so question number 45. Sequence these Nobel Prize winners in chronological order of they having received the award. Again, a question directly related to the Nobel Prize, literary award section. See, T.S. Eliot, Samuel Beckett, Bob Dylan, W.B. Yeats. We all know Bob Dylan won it in the last decade, right? So Bob Dylan is the one who won it recently. And so option C should be there the at last. And this C again, by sheer elimination method, you will be able to answer this, right? Option 2 has C at the end, and all the other options does not have C at the end. So Bob Dylan is certainly uh, the youngest one to win the Nobel Prize among these other authors in this pool. So option C should be at the end. And of course, W.B. Yeats won it in the early uh, 20th century. Then, of course, T.S. Eliot, then Samuel Beckett. So option two is correct. D, A, B, C. Option two is correct. But what putting my thrust on is that this option C, Bob Dylan, he won the Nobel Prize in the last decade. He's the youngest one, and by this elimination method, you can answer. You don't even have to think about whether T.S. Eliot, I mean, it is very apparent that W.B. Yeats won it first, then T.S. Eliot, Samuel Beckett, but we don't even have to think about that. It is that easy with elimination method. So option two is correct, and we can actually put it under literary award section, right? Yeah. So next question, 46. Which of the following is an ancient book of grammar? This is again related to Sanskrit poetics and literature. Which of the following is an ancient book of grammar? Prashna Upanishad, Ashtadhyayi, Natyashastra, Meghduta. Meghduta is certainly not a grammar book. Natyashastra is not a grammar book. Prashna Upanishad is Upanishad. Ashtadhyayi Bhakaran, that is known as Ashtadhyayi Bhakaran, and Panini's Bhakaran, right? So Ashtadhyayi is the correct answer. The ancient book of grammar in Sanskrit. So yeah, we can write it in Sanskrit literature and poetics section. Yeah. So next question, 47. Which of the following is not true about the Enlightenment age? Which is not true? Encouraged exploration of the supernatural in literature. Jonathan Swift and Voltaire are prominent authors of the age. The age paved the way for the rise of the novel. It is known for many satirical writings. So, Jonathan Swift and Voltaire, prominent authors of this, of course, it is known for many satirical writings. Jonathan Swift himself wrote many satires. The age paved way for the rise of the novel. Of course, Gulliver's Travel, you can understand that, was written in this age. Encouraged exploration of the supernatural literature. It is certainly not part or associated, typically associated with the Enlightenment age. It is kind of associated with the Romantic age, kind of, when the Gothic fictions are being written down. So, encouraged exploration of the supernatural literature is part of the Romantic age, not Enlightenment age. So, option one is not true about the Enlightenment age, right? Again, it is a very classic uh, question under history of English literature, so we can put it down under the segment. Next question, 48, is which of the following elements of drama was termed as mythos by Aristotle? Character, fundamental units of time, place and action, plot, protagonist. Plot was termed as mythos by Aristotle, as you know. So option three is correct. There is a no nonsense question. I mean, there's a plot which is termed as mythos by Aristotle. Is again a question from classical criticism. We can put it under literary criticism and theory, and is a classical criticism that we're talking about here. So, in addition, again, as I said, you have to keep utmost focus or thrust on Plato, Aristotle, Horace, and Longinus. And then in modern literary criticism, we have to give a focus on Matthew Arnold and T.S. Eliot, Virginia Woolf, with this, H.T. Coleridge and Wordsworth, Shelley, kids. They are also writing articles and their own, putting forward their own theories of poetry, right? So anyway, the correct answer is three here. Plot was termed as mythos by Aristotle. So next question, 49. Who among the following is associated with the Gothic? Who among the following is associated with the Gothic? Right? Mary Shelley, Leo Tolstoy, Ezra Pound, and Chinua Achebe. Of course, Mary Shelley is considered the Gothic, psychological Gothic, one might say, with Frankenstein. So yeah, so we can put it under the section of uh, in the history of English literature. Yeah, yeah. So question number 50, and is the following in the correct chronological order of the year of the birth, beginning with the earliest. So again, arrange the following in the correct chronological order in the year of the birth, beginning with the earliest. Uh, of course, as you know, Jhumpalahit is the youngest and Tugdutt is the, oldest one here. And so option A, Tugdutt is, of course, the earliest. She was born in the 19th century. So uh, option one only has A in the beginning. You don't even have to like think of the rest of the options. And by sheer elimination method, it is apparent. I mean, you don't even have to apply. I mean, if you're a serious student of English literature, you would know that Turudotto is the earliest. Then, of course, there is Arkenara, and then Anita Desai, and then Jhumpa Lahiri. So, but again, if you are not, you might be confused about this. So you might apply the elimination method here. So A, C, D, and B. So one is the correct answer, and you can again write it Indian under the heading Indian writing in English and translation part. Yeah. So 51, question 51, we have again column matching, so many column matching questions, in our section, that is, I appeared in 2023, we had assertion reason question, but so far, as you can see, there is no assertion reason question so far, but let's see if we come across one or not. But now question number 51, and we have again another column matching, and so genre is there and definition is there. So sonnet, lyric, epic, elegy. You can see that a long verse narrative on a serious subject. So a formal and sustained lament in verse. So, of course, elegy is a lament, right? Elegy is a lament, and sonnet, a poem of 14 lines at the end. So, A should be sonnet should be connected with this four, right? So, again, in option two and option three, in both of these, A is matched with option four. So, option one, option four get eliminated. Option two and three we have to consider now. Now, elegy, D, elegy, as I said, a formal and sustained lament in verse. So D should be 2. Now, D should be 2. So again, this leaves option 3 eliminated. Now, option 2 is the correct answer because, again, option A, a sonnet is a poem of 14 lines. So A gets connected with 4. Elegy is a formal and sustained lament in verse. That is D gets connected to 2. B, that is a lyric. Uh, uh, is a poem uttered by a single speaker who expresses his thoughts or emotions. And C, epic is a long verse narrative on a serious subject, right? So again, we can put it in literary terms, actually. Yeah, literary terms. I mean, these are terms and all the genre forms of poetry. But in 52, which of the following is the most appropriate statement about a heroic couplet? As you know, heroic couplet was thing of neoclassical period, and Dryden was writing in heroic couplet. Pope, Alexander Pope mastered it, heroic couplet, and uh, Rape of the Lock is also written in heroic couplets. Mock heroic couplet. Anyway, so which of the following is the most appropriate statement about a heroic couplet, right? So, a meter that celebrates heroism, a rhyming pair of verse lines in iambic pentameter, a meter used in tragedy, a four-line stanza with end rhyme. So certainly a four-line stanza with end rhyme is not true. A meter used in tragedy is also not true. A meter that celebrates heroism is also not true. Rhyming pair of verse lines. So of course, a pair of verse lines in iambic pentameter. That is perhaps the true. About all these four options. So option two is correct. Option two is correct. So, heroic couplet, as I can said, Dryden was writing in neoclassical periods, particularly Pope was mastering it, rhyming pair of verse lines in iambic pentameter. So we can write it again in literary terms, I think, because all the literary terms comes under certain kind of literary age also. But again, now question number 53. Seth, he says, me and you, we got more yesterday than anybody. We need some more kind of tomorrow. Which figure of speech is used here? Choose the most appropriate answer. Hyperbole, antithesis, irony, metaphor. Now, again, it is a part of rhetoric, figure of speech. I hope you have been taught about rhetoric and prosody in graduation. So there's a question that Seth, he says, me and you, we got more yesterday uh, than anybody. We need some more kind of tomorrow. Which of the figure speech is used here? And the hyperbole. So hyperbole is that figure speech where you want to like glorify something, expand something into a different thing. I mean, way. Uh, Irony, is kind of opposite kind of thing that we want. The metaphor is not certainly metaphor; it's an antithesis here. So we got more yesterdays than anybody. We need some kind of tomorrows, an antithesis, right? The antithesis. So option two is correct. Option two is correct. You need to have a good understanding of figure of speech because we already have come across two by now. Figure of speech questions, like alliteration, we came across oxymoron. So this is the third question actually, which deal with figure of speech directly, right? So please have a look at figure of speeches. So 53, the option 2 is the correct answer, and this is the correct answer. You can write it on literary terms though, but again, this comes actually under figure rhetoric and prosody. Anyway, next question is, into the darkness they go, the wise and the lovely, crowned with lilies and the laurel they go, but I am not resigned. Which form of poetry would the aforementioned lines be classified as? Choose the most appropriate answer, right? So into the darkness they go, the wise and lovely, crowned with lilies and laurel they go, but I am not resigned. It is. I mean, we don't have any clear proof of whether it's an ode or not. Uh, Lyric or not, we don't. I mean, so that this part is very important. Choose the most appropriate answer. Appropriate answer. I mean. Uh, we don't know whether these two lines will become an ode or not, whether these two lines will become a lyric or not. So within this two line, we have to understand what kind of form of poetry might be said most appropriate. The appropriate is the word in the question, right? So lilies, laurel, they are so they are part of the elegy poetry, right? Into the darkness they go. So there is a kind of a despair is also there, uncertainty, death perhaps. There's an ominous symbols of death. So into the darkness they go, the wise and the lovely, crowned with lilies and laurels. So death, often the dead bodies are crowned with lilies and laurels, and I'm not resigned, I'm not like pacified. So elegy perhaps is the one which kind of, because pastoral again is one can, there is no clear proof or marker about being a pastoral, but elegy is the best suited one here because, right, lilies and laurel, you must have read Lycidas by Milton, right? Elizabeth and Churchill also Grace. So you can understand this kind of tropes, lilies, laurel, they are, I'm not resigned, they are, and again, into the darkness they go, the wise and lovely. These are again classical tropes, markers of elegies. So option two is the right answer. So again, yeah, so we can write it again in literary terms section, right? Yeah. So question number 55 now. Which of the following options are correct with regard to postmodernism? Now that is a part of theory, literary theory section, right? Which of the following options are correct with regard to postmodernism? Focus on classical themes of heroism, promotes the idea of multiple perspectives, of course, true. Uh, Challenges grand narratives, absolutely true. Focus on metafictional interest, absolutely true, right? Focus on classical themes of heroism is not true. Okay, postmodernism is not true for this part A. So A, wherever A is there, you can eliminate them. So in option 1, 2, and 3 option, I mean A are there. So we will eliminate again by sheer elimination method. But again, you know this option B, C, and D, they are the basic tenets of postmodernism, right? Postmodernism promotes the idea of multiple perspectives, plurality, challenges the grand narratives, by definition that lie without gaps. Postmodernism, the incredulity towards meta narratives or incredulity towards grand narratives, right? Or challenges grand narratives. It focuses on metafiction intertextuality. You must have heard about Linda Hutchins' uh, metafiction and intertextuality, right? David Lodge's metafiction. So, of course, B, C, and D, they are the basic founding cornerstone of postmodernism. So, option E is not correct because it does not focus classical on heroism. So, option 4 is correct because B, C, and D are the only correct options with regard to postmodernism. And we can write this question under literary theory, criticism and theory. So this is the first question that we have encountered under the section of literary theory part, right? So next question, 56. Arrange the following Gyanpith awardees in the order in which they received the award, beginning with the earliest. Again, this is again a question that deals directly with the literary award section, right? Literary award section. Uh, Amitabh Ghosh, Mahadevi Verma, Neelamani Pukan, and Girish Karnad. Okay, so of course, Mahadevi Verma won it. I think, I mean, she's one of the senior most, right? I mean, the senior most. So Mahadevi Verma is the one who won the Gatpit Award at the earliest, right? So option B. So again, there is this trickiness that is there. So in option 2 and option 3 both, we have B in the beginning and also C at the end. So Nilamani Pukan, right? I had not heard about Nilamani Pukan. So but these two options, both of them says option C at the end, right? Now we have this confusion between Amitabh Ghosh and Girish Karnad. So as you must know that Amitabh Ghosh, I mean, won it long ago. Then Girish Karnad died recently, right? Girish Karnad died recently, and he is a senior to Amitabh Ghosh, I think so, in terms of writing. So Karnad should be placed before Amitabh Ghosh, and so option 2 should be the correct one. All then again, there's a guessing game going on here, but this is the correct answer. I mean, if you search it, the list of the Gyanpith awardees, option 2 is the right one. But I'm trying to uh, be in that zone that if I am given this kind of questions, if we as an aspirants are given this kind of questions, how we can approach that, right? No way, if you don't have that list memorized, in no way you can actually answer it without taking recourse to certain other kind of uh, techniques or tactics, witty games, one can say. So option 2 is the right answer, of course, that Mahadevi Verma, then Girish Karnad, then Amitabh Ghosh, and then Neelamani Pukan, right? Okay, so you can write it under literary awards section as well. So 3 Nobel Prize question and 1 Gyanpith Award question. So 57. Which of the following is not a characteristic of ego-criticism? Again, second question from theory part, right? So which of the one was postmodernism and one is ego-criticism. So which of the following is not a characteristic of ego-criticism? Ego-criticism repudiates the idea of constructedness of nature. Nature is culturally, socially, and slash or linguistically constructed, of course. Nature is not reducible to a concept which we traditionally conceive as a part of our cultural practice. Calling something nature and seeing it as simply given is usually a way of avoiding the politics which has made it that way. So, ecocrism repudiates the idea of constructionism. It is not true. Ecocrism does not repudiate the idea of constructionism, but it is rather the opposite of that. The ecocrism supports the idea that nature is constructed. Nature is constructed, right? So, which of the following is not a characteristic of ecocrism? The option 1 is true. You don't even have to go to the the three part, which is of course true. So which of following is not a characteristic of egotism? The option one is not a characteristic of egotism. Egotism in fact does not repudiate the idea of constructive mechanism. Option one is correct. Okay, and we can write it under literary criticism and theory. It is indeed, it is theory part, the question of theory, from theory. Now question 58. Identify correctly the themes and ideas that explode in modernist literature. Identify correctly the themes and ideas that explode in modernist literature. Fragmentation and disillusionment, of course, true. Rejection of traditional narrative forms, true. A focus on the representation of the alien itself, true. The linearity of time is not correct, right? Linearity of time is not correct. There is a fragmentation of the chronological order of time, linearity of time, uh, right? So uh, timeline is broken in many of the modernist narratives. So option A, B, C, all three are correct, but option D is not correct. So wherever we have option D, we can eliminate them, right? We are well aware of the text like Mrs. Dalloway. We are well aware of the text like Ulysses, where linearity of time is not maintained. In fact, the breaking away of this linearity of time is one of the significant marker of modern literature. So option four is correct, right? Option four is correct. A, B, C, and C. The fragmentation, disillusionment, rejection of traditional narrative forms. Finnegan's Wake, for example, right? A focus on the representation of the elite itself, of course. Uh, the themes and ideas that are explored in modernist literature, but certainly the linearity of time is not the one that modernist literature puts forward, right? So option four is the correct one, and we can write it in fact, in history of English literature part, right? Yeah. So question number 59. Again, column matching. I should have like accounting, I guess, this column matching questions. And anyway, there is literary term, again, directly, literary term and definition, right? Metaphor, hyperbole, oxymoron, and irony. See, so these are the things that, so if you remember, one question came, I mean, few times, few minutes ago, that had the exact options, right? Metaphor, hyperbole, oxymoron, irony. So if you're confused about that question, you can actually come to this question and have these answers right and go back to that question, right? So these are some tricky questions. Anyway, so we have literary terms and have definitions. All the literary terms are again from rhetoric part, that is figure of speeches. Metaphor, hyperbole, oxymoron, irony. Uh, a figure of speech in which two contradictory opposing words and ideas are used together to create paradoxical effect. Oxymoron is there. A figure of speech in which two contradictory or opposing words and ideas are used together to create a paradoxical effect. Oxymoron is the right answer. C1. C1. So in option 1 and option 4, in both of these, we have C matched with 1. C matched with 1, right? So option 2 and 3 gets eliminated. Now, let's go to D, okay? Irony. One is D2, and so a literary device where the implied meaning differs sharply from what is ostensibly expressed. It is actually irony. There's ulta, there's opposite, right? A literary device where the implied meaning differs sharply from what is ostensibly expressed, kind of sarcasm, borders on sarcasm, right? So D is two. So D is two, right? Again, so D is two. So of course, option four is the correct answer, right? We can nevertheless go through the other options like hyperbole, uh, an exaggerated statement or claim not meant to be taken literally. That is hyperbole. B4, right? And of course, C we had one. And metaphor is a comparison between two things using words or comparison example like or as, right? So option four is the correct answer. So again, we can solve it through elimination method, but nevertheless, for reading purpose, again, I'm asking you to give thrust on this rhetoric part, right? Literary terms, but rhetoric, to be more specific, rhetoric and prosody. So we can again write it under literary term section because the question directly says literary term. and the definition. Anyway, the next question is question number 60. Arrange the following elements of a story in chronological order as they typically occur in the plot structure from the earliest to the latest. Exposition, climax, rising action, resolution. They are part of the plot structure in a drama play, right? Uh, Specifically, tragedy, maybe. So, arrange the following elements of a story in chronological order uh, as they typically occur in plot structure from the earliest to the latest. Exposition, climax, so exposition comes first, then rising action, then climax, then resolution, right? So exposition, rising action, climax, resolution. Exposition A, rising C, again. So C is A and C. So yeah, C, and then climax resolution option two is correct. So again, so we can actually put it under literary terms and literary terms section, right? So option two is correct. If you read H. Abraham's book Literary Terms, Glossary of Literary Terms, and you will go through the section tragedy, plot, you'll find these terms, right? Yeah. So question 61, which of the following literary terms refer to a play on words? Play on words, where a word has two or more meanings, or words that sound similar but have different meanings, right? So of course, uh, again, it's a question from uh, literary terms, right? So which of the following literary terms refer to a play on words where a word has two or more meanings, or words that have sound similar but have different meanings, right? So uh, alliteration is not the word, right? So again, see, by sheer elimination method, you have the answer. Alliteration is has no connection with whatever the question is about. So option A, wherever the option is there, it has to be eliminated, right? So option 1, 2, and 4 are eliminated. It has option 3, B, and C. Of course, we know pun, we mean that, and symbolism, I mean that. So option 3 is the correct answer. Again, we can solve it by sheer elimination method because one who knows alliteration has nothing to do with this play on words. Even if one is confused with the symbolism allusion, but we don't have a space for that confusion because by sheer elimination, we can already eliminate option 1, 2, and 4, right? So option 3 is the correct answer, and we can put it again. It returns. All right, it returns section. Yeah. So question number 62. Which options are true for existentialism? Now again, we can put where we can put this question. You can put it on the history and literature part, where in modern literature we have absurd theories or absurdism, uh, or we can put it under the section of world literature per se, where Camus and Sartre were writing, or we can put it under literary term section as well, right? Existentialism, because we put naturalism in the initial questions. We had one question, if I remember, on naturalism, right? So existentialism can also be put in on literary terms. Uh, Okay, so we will put it on literary terms for now, but certain things will of course overlap with other genres and other sections. But anyway, which options are true for existentialism? Which options are true for existentialism, right? So, uh, question number 62. So, focus on radical individual freedom. That is true. Albert Camus and Jean Paul Sartre are thinkers or writers. It is absolutely true. The absurdity of human existence is one of the major themes. True, its immediate inspiration was the French Revolution, right? So, uh, uh, A, B, and A is true. A is true. B is also true. C is also true. Its immediate inspiration was French Revolution is not correct, right? Is not correct. French Revolution happened a lot. Long ago, 1789, right? And this existentialism was coming into late 20th century. It has no connection. I mean, the apparent connection, and the word is immediate inspiration. Of course, the word is immediate. It was certainly not an immediate influence. Uh, from French Revolution, right? So option D is not true. So wherever option D is there, these options are incorrect. So option D, option D, option D. So two, three, four, all options are eliminated. Option one is correct. A, B, and C. And of course, you know that focus on radical individual freedom. Albert Camus and Sartre are the thinkers and writers associated with this movement. Absolute of human existence is one of the major themes. But option D, that its immediate inspiration was not the French Revolution. One can say world wars, but certainly not French Revolution. Okay. So anyway, so I'm putting it under literary terms fashion from now on. But anyway, let's see again, another column matching question. So okay. Again, two list literary devices example, and again, I mean rhetoric, part of rhetoric, simile, personification. They are part of rhetoric, and to be more specific, figure of speech, right? So, uh, yeah. So personification, simile, parallelism in syntax, rhyme. Example, um, marriage has many pains, but simile has no pleasures. But celibacy has no pleasures, right? Sorry. Simile, I mean, there is one, I listened motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more. Sky lowered and muttering thunder, some sad drops wept at completing the mortal scenes, and eyes mast high came floating by as green emerald. So, personification, so certain even natural objects are personified. So, in option three, sky lowered, muttering thunder, some sad drops wept. So sky and Matrikhan and some sad drops are personified and as if they were weeping like a human being, right? Wept at completing the mortal scene. So there's a personification has happened in this option, and so A should be connected with three. A should be kept with three. You can see by elimination method we can have the answer. You don't even have to. This actually saves your time if you have this correct approach, right? So option A is connected to option three. No other option. I mean A. In no other option as there is option one, two, or three. Option A is not connected to option three, right? So option four is correct. Nevertheless, we'll go through the all the other. So option D, that is rhyme. It is indeed rhyme. Like I listen motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore. Long after it was heard no more. So it is a rhyme. There's a rhyme. Rhythm is there. Rhyme is there. So D is two. So again, if somebody would have started with D, then again we have D two, and then no other option. There is one, two, and three. D is connected with two. So again, is the correct answer, right? So B again, simile is the last one, that and her eyes mast high came floating by as green as emerald, right? So this is a simile, as green as emerald. So parallelism and syntax is marriage has many pains, but celibacy has no pleasures. So C is one. Anyway, so the correct answer is four. Yeah, so you can certainly absolutely put it under literary terms, but not only literary terms, but also again rhetoric, right? So this fourth question, I think, fifth question under the section rhetoric alone, that is figure of speech alone. 64 now. 64 question. Choose the correct option about Dayanand Saraswati. And that is a question, direct question about Dayanand Saraswati, right? Dayanand Saraswati wrote the book Shattarth Prakash. Back to Vedas was the call given by Dayanand Saraswati, right? Uh, uh, Arya Samaj was started by Dayanand Saraswati in Andhra Pradesh, and Dayanand Anglo-Vedic DAV schools are established based by philosophy and teachings. So these certainly correct, right? These certainly correct. So again, those options which have D in it can be considered. So option two gets eliminated. DAV schools, as you know, the Anand Anglo-Vedic School, West Indies, teaching. So option D is certainly true. So option two, A, B, and C only. So it does not have a D, so it gets eliminated. Now, we have Dhananand Saraswati wrote the book Satyartha Prakash. Yes. Back to Vedas was the call given by Dhananand Saraswati. And uh, so Arya Samaj was started by Dhananand Saraswati in Andhra Pradesh. It is not true. Andhra Pradesh is not true. So A, B, and D is the correct answer. Okay, A, B, and the D is the correct answer. So option one is correct. Yeah. We can. Where should we put it? Now that is a strange question, right? Uh, but now I am putting it under Indian writing in English, though, but it is very difficult to put this question any of the section related to Indian. I mean English studies per se. There is nothing. I mean, but anyway. Uh, Question number 65. Arrange the following text in order they were written from the earliest to the latest. The inheritance of loss, the guide, Swami and friend, the shadow lines. So, of course, uh, the inheritance of loss won the Man Booker Prize, and it won the Man Booker Prize recently. I mean, so of course, A should be placed at the last. So, in option one and option four, we have A at the end. And of course, Swami and Friends was written very early. Then Vairanaran, then the guide, then the shadow lines, and then the inheritance of loss. So again, both way you can see you can start with the inheritance of loss being put at the end. You can also start with Swami and Friends in the beginning. So C should be the option. I mean C, B, D, A. C should be put in the beginning. So option four is the correct answer. C, B, D is a classical question of Indian writing in English, right? So yeah, we can put it there. Question 66 now. Another column matching. Okay. Author and novel, Indian authors, preferably Alan Shelley, Salman Rushdie, Amitabh Ghosh, and Vikram Seth. Amitabh Ghosh, Calcutta Chromosome, Salman Rushdie, Grimmers, Vikram Seth, Golden Gate, Alan Shelley, the Everest Hotel. So Vikram Seth D with the Golden Gate D3. Again, D3. Yeah. Start with either D or A, and you see you can eliminate it in the very beginning. And again, unlike many other questions, you can see this also should be the elimination method should be applied here, and you have a clear-cut answer D3, that is Vikram said the Golden Gate, and D3, and no other option is option 1, 3, 4. They get immediately eliminated because only in option 2 D3 is there, and also you know the other options, right? I'm of course showed Calcutta Chromosome, so C1. I mean Salman Rushdie wrote Grimace, so B4, and of course Alan Shelley wrote Everest Hotel A2. So again, a classical question of Indian writing in English. So yeah. Next question, 67. Another uh, column matching question. Oh my God. And literary genre now. Literary genre and text. But again, you can see these column matching questions are extremely easy scoring questions because elimination method applies here the most, and they are, I mean, easy going, I guess. Yeah. So 67, literary genre and text, fiction, poetry, drama, non-fiction. Prometheus Unbound, of course, drama. C1, C1. We have C1, C1, C4. Anyway, non-fiction, intimate, on the subjection of women. Non-fiction, D3, D3. So we have D3 again. So start with D or A, as I say, A or D. So we have D3, that is non-fiction on the subjection of women, right? It is a non-fiction text. D3, again, all the options are eliminated immediately. No other option, that is 1, 2, and 4 have D3, right? No other option has D3. Only option 3 has D matched with 3. So Again, non-fiction, answer is no win. C, drama is Prometheus Unbound. Verse drama. Again, poetry is intimation of immortality, and fiction is Moll Flanders, right? Again, so either you can see these are the ways that these questions are made. If you start from A only, A is matched, fiction is matched to Moll Flanders. That you know, any serious readers of or any readers of English literature, history of English literature should know that Moll Flanders is is a fiction, right? So E2 is matched with 2. No other option is and no other option is matched with option 2. So again, this immediately makes the option 3 correct, right? So again, so I should write it under history of English literature because it is a question from history of English literature, right? Right? Yeah. So that takes us to this comprehension question. So out of 75 questions, we have 67 direct MCQ questions, and then rest of them are we have comprehension type questions, right? So we have this uh, we have this passage, and then we have to answer these questions, right? Based on this uh, passage. Uh, we will read them slowly and we understand we'll try to see yeah, but these are very easy questions, and as if you can actually you all know we have been solving this comprehension type of question as early as high school, right? So nevertheless we'll try to read them. So yeah, we're reading this passage, so you can read it along with me, or you can pause the video and then read by yourself and try uh, try to solve the questions, right? Anyway, when we approach prose for purposes of working out a literary appreciation, our main concern is with the kind of language used to match the thought content which it intends to convey through the medium. It is so difficult to draw a line between prose and poetry in the exact sense of the term that some critics have been pleaded for the abolition of this distinction. However, prose, for purposes of literary criticism, is just another way of expressing our thoughts in the form of language. When we view it as a question of literary appreciation, our main attention is first to the thought content, which may differ in its nature. The nature of the thought content will determine first the register of the language. A technical idea would require a technical register in the language, whereas a literary piece would require an altogether different language. The prose of a journalist would be guided by the requirements of the public it is addressed to. It would mostly be simple language, which even an ordinary reader can make sense of. A literary writer who has a special audience in mind would try to convey the depth of his mind, or would use the nuances of the language to convey the subtlety of emotional complex that he sets out to convey. A critique would set out constructing well composed, economical sentences without any sense of wasted effort. Ease of expression is another criterion in this matter. If the writer tends to labor hard and overwork his expression in bombastic words, he is obviously not going to make an impression on the reader's minds in any case. But the main thing that a student of literaturism cares about is the nature of the thought content of the passage. For language must convey the sense of economy, ease of expression, and exactness of approach, the thought content of the writer. The failure to meet these demands means that the writer has not achieved the required command of the language that is expected of a good writer. A wonderful passage you can see. It's a very simple passage. There is nothing complex about it. There is no word that you can understand. So it's very simple, easygoing passage. And now it's going to straight go into the questions. Complete the following sentence by choosing the correct option out of the given ones as per the reading of the passage. So please, so you have to answer this question as per the reading of the passage. There is nothing that I have to remind you. You already know this. So do not let let yourself carried, you know, forward with this certain kind of other emotions that you have, or a kind of interpretation. Do not go into the interpretation of the passages, but go to the literariness of the passage. That is, what is written exactly in the passage, try to follow that. Do not go into your own interpretation. That is the only cautionary thing that I can tell you. Okay. Prose as a medium of literary appreciation should use appropriate language for conveying a particular content, should be highly elevated in style, should exhibit a creative sensibility, should use a scholarly jargon. Of course, should use appropriate language for conveying a particular content. We already have that, right? Prose, uh, uh, I mean, yes, the thought content which it intends to convey through the medium, right? So that is the thing. So option one should be the correct answer. You can, I mean, pause the video, pause the audio, and you can, you can answer these questions by yourself. Again, there is a column matching inside this comprehension thing. But anyway, so there's this. So these are related to this passage. A journalist, see, journalist is there. And anyway, cares for the nature of the thought content of the passage, since the language must convey with the sense of economy and. So we'll start with again. So so for this might seem you have to read all these things, all these options, right? It might take time. So as I say, directly go with A and D. Either A, choose A, or either choose D, and you go with that. Okay. So as you can see, let's go with the option A, right? Let's go with the option A. So a literary writer will read this. Cares for the nature. So we have to just match the correct option with literary writer, because you see, not a single option is repeated, right? So if we make a right match for this option A, we'll eliminate all the other option, right? So let's go. Uh, for literary writer, cares for the nature of the thought content of the passage, since the language uh, must convey with a sense of economy, ease of expression, exactness of approach. The thought content of the writer would be guided by the requirements the public his prose is addressed to. Language would mostly be simple, which even ordinary reader can make sense of. This is actually part of this journalist thing, right? So this should be a journalist. So C should be matched with 2. Can have a C. Yeah, C. I mean, in option 2, we have C matched with uh, option 2. That is this list in list 2 with this thing, right? So again, in no other option, C is matched with option 2. That automatically makes option 2 correct answer, right? So this is what I'm talking about. This very easy thing. You don't even have to spend much time matching the other options. You can match one option and see whether you can eliminate other options. If it's possible, go ahead with it. Option 2 is the right answer. Yeah. So what are the characteristics of good prose? Choose the most appropriate answer according to the passage, right? Use of bombastic words? Of course not. Matching the requirements of target readership? Might be, but we are not even. Ease of expression? Okay. Economy of words? Yes, certainly true. Now we have to answer the most appropriate answer according to the passage, right? So you have to go back to the passage and see what exactly we have to see, right? So piece of record different passage and the post writer the ease of expression. Okay, so here we are coming here. So yeah, a literary writer who has special audience in mind try to convey the depth of his nuances. A critic would set out construct welcome to economical sentences without any users. Ease of expression is another criterion in this matter. uh, readers' minds. The student of literary criticism cares about the nature. So we had this question in the previous one, right? So the prose of appreciation made another economy of language. So prose and poetry exacts in the term that creates a pretty evolution distinction when Question interpretation nature is a technical register in the language where you repeat take an altogether different passage the program is to so subtlety. So the right yeah. So the nature of the third yeah, that is the thing. So third core of the passage for language must convey with a sense of economy. That is the option, right? Sense of economy. That is the thing. So good prose, the sense of economy, ease of expression, and of course, matching the requirements of the target industry. We all have this. So use of bombastic words is not the option. So in whichever option the A is there, it is not the correct answer, right? So in all these options, 1, 2, and 3, we have option A in the beginning, and it is not true. So option 4 is correct, B, C, and D, because matching the requirements of the characteristic is true, use of expression is true, economy of words is true, right? So option 4 is correct. The given passage may be characterized as didactic, explicative, subjective, psychological. So it is explicative, of course, it is explicative, right? It is not didactic, and it is not trying to give you any um, thing like moral obligations to follow, and trying to give you any lesson. But anyway, it's not also subject is objective, but it is not also psychological. It's kind of uh, explicative. It is explicative, right? It's trying to explicate things, to explain things, right? So the option 2 is the correct answer. We have another passage, and it's the simple things in life that keeps us from going crazy. They contribute more to our general happiness and health than acts of passion and high excitement, like the pigeon in the skylight in the Delhi nursing home where I was incarcerated for 2 or 3 days. I was feeling down, but even worse than the illness that had brought me there were the series of tests that doctors insisted I had to go through: ECGs, ultrasounds, endoscopies, X-rays, blood tests, probe into any orifice they could find, and at the end of it all, a fat bill designed to give me a heart attack. The only thing that prevented me from running into the street and shouting for help was that pigeon in the skylight, sheltered there at various times during the day, and its gentle cooing shooed through my nerves. I owe my sanity to that pigeon. And as I write this, I'm reminded of other consolations: the winter sun on old bones, the laughter of a child, a small bird's nest. According to the speaker, what stops one from going crazy? Acts of passion, high excitement, doctor's care, simple things, right? So it's the simple things that stops one from going crazy, right? It is the very, very first one. It's the simple things in life that keeps us from going crazy. So option 4 is the right, and it is directly written there in the passage, right? What was the only thing that prevented the writer from losing her sanity? Test that from his recovery, the winter sun and laughing of his child, the solitary pigeon on the skylight, the warmth of the old nose, the solitary pigeon on the skylight, of course. So option 3 is correct. What was worse than the illness? Being in a Delhi nursing home, the fact the doctor insisted on test, having a heart attack, undergoing a series of tests, and a fat bill at the end of it all. Of course, option 4 is correct. Undergoing a series of tests and a fat bill at the end of it all. The last question is, which term applies the best to the given passage? Which term applies the best to, to the given passage? Argumentative, descriptive, reflective, narrative. Uh, it's a reflective passage, you can understand, right? It is not descriptive, it is not argumentative, it's not a narrative certain, it's a reflective one. One is reflecting upon her um, solitariness, perhaps, depression, perhaps, own psychological condition, physical condition, and its connection with peace and sanity, everything. So it's reflective passage. So yeah, we come to the end of this questionnaire. That is 2025 questionnaire question paper of CVT PG. We have tried to answer these questions, and yeah. So for example, just for example, let me go to this page where I was keeping notes of this. So yeah, I have I have um, make this. I have made this sections where I was writing down how many questions are there from each section. So history of English literature, from history of English literature, we have 18 direct questions. From Indian writing and English and translation, we have 16 questions. Literary criticism and theory, we have 9 questions. Literary terms, we have 14 questions, and more, and out of the 14 questions, we have most of them are most of them are from rhetoric, prosody, mainly figures figures of speech, right? Figure of speech. So please remember this. Movie adaptations, we have only 1 question. Science, literature, and poetics, directly science, literature, and poetry, we have 4. Literary awards, again, uh, 4 awards. Uh, 3 from Nobel Prize. Sorry, Nobel Prize, and uh, Jnanpith, Jnanpith Award, right? World literature, we have 1. So these are the basic division among the. So history of literature 18, Indian writing and English 16, literary criticism and theory 9, literary terms 14, movie adaptation 1, science literature 4, literary awards 4, and world literature 1. So highest section is from history of English literature, as you can clearly see. Then there is, of course, Indian writing and English and translation, literary criticism. So out of 9, we have 6 from so we have 6 questions from criticism, and 3 questions from literary theory, okay, with postmodernism and romanticism and others, right? So this is the basic structure that you have. So you know the areas that you have to focus. Again, to reiterate myself, there's a 3 section that you have to give thrust. One is history of English literature. Second is Indian writing in English and translation. And third one is literary criticism and theory part. Literary criticism part is the most important, because theoretical stuffs are been stored for the master syllabus. And of course, there is literary terms, right? And as I have written down, most of them are from rhetoric and process. So please go through the rhetorics, primarily the figure of speech, oxymoron, simile, metaphor, right? Lighthouses and whatnot, whatever all is there, right? Please, alteration, everything. So please go through the rhetoric part. Then after this, movie adaptation is there, Sanskrit literature and poetics is there. I did not find any. We did not find any linguistic questions, but and directly from translation studies question. But in the previous question, yes, of course, there were direct questions from linguistics and linguistic section, uh, and translation studies. But in 2025 we did not have that. So I'm not sure that whether they will give questions directly from linguistics or translation studies. So you can have a look into that part also. And literary hours section, of course, as I said, focus primarily on the Nobel Prize, Sahitya Academy, Gyanpith, Man Booker Prize, International Booker Prize, Penn Hemingway Awards, and the constitution of those awards, who are eligible, of the eligibility criteria of the awards, and the history of those awards. Also, like most of the Nobel Prize questions are like they asked to chronologically arrange the Nobel laureates, right? Even in Gyanpith Awards, they asked to chronologically arrange the awardee, right? So we have to not only be aware of the recent awardee, but also uh, the awardees who have won the awards, right? So we have to remember that. And regarding world literature, so as I said that we are no longer students of English literature, classic English literature with a capital E. There is a literature produced in England, but also we are students of literatures in English. That is the offshoot of English literature. That is Australian literature, Canadian literature, African American literature, and Asian literature, Russian literature, European literature from French, German, translated into English. So uh, you have to take these literary discourses also into account. And also, as I said, like inside Indian writing in English and translation, at least there were 3 to 4 questions were directly from Hindi literature per se, right? Hindi literature or Bengali literature, Urdu literature, right? Remember the questions about Ismat Chugtai, and if to chronologically arrange the date of birth, right? Ismat Chugtai, right, from Urdu, right? Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay, right, from Bengali. Harivansh Rai Bachchan, right, from Hindi. They are not part of Indian writing in English, but they are part of Indian literature per se, right? So that kind of question are also asked. These kind of questions are also asked. So you have to imbibe a diverse outlook. You have to broaden your horizon to such an extent that you'll be able to answer this kind of questions. And this crash course that we have offered in Dream University it actually helps student. I think I'm offering the course, and our primary objective is to make the students in connection with these diverse happenings of the literary worlds, and to make them in loops. It's in constant informational loops, so that they are in a constant loop of information every day. And we're offering this course, and if you're interested, if you find this, we have 1.5 month left, 1.5 months left for the CUTPG, and apparently it might seem quite overwhelming to even proceed to this huge, almost unending syllabus, a vast ocean of syllabus, and so diverse, eclectic questions are there, right? But it is indeed possible if you have right strategy, as I showed while answering these questions, right? That elimination through elimination process, you can actually answer a lot of questions, right? Anyway, there are also strategies regarding reading, also regarding confidence boosting. Also, I mean, this course that we are offering is mainly for the boosting of the confidence for the students. And when you set foot into the examination center, you have this confidence that okay, you are well read, you are armed with the necessary equipment. So you have the knowledge. You are already in loop of the informations that you can connect dots from here and there, and then you can actually apply this elimination method on that particular day in the examination center, right? So this course is basically for those who might seem at their wits end regarding this huge syllabus. And so we are offering this course, and if you want to enroll yourself, we have already started the course. There will be live classes and notes. There will be abundant notes. That already so many. I mean, abundant notes and all. So if you want to enroll that, the number is floating on your screen. You can subscribe to this channel, and there is also a Telegram channel. I think the link is there in the description of the video. So you can also join that group. And there's also WhatsApp group. So anyway, so these are the basic things that I wanted to discuss with you. Analyzing this paper. We'll try to bring out more videos regarding CBTPs in English. So stay with us if you want to enroll. I mean, there is 1.5 months left. If you want to enroll for this crash course, please do reach out to this contact number that is floating on the screen. And all the best. Yeah, all the best to you all. Uh, yeah, okay. Thank you.